Hello there, welcome back to 2 Acres. I'm just tending my crop. I'm going to water my potatoes. They're doing really well, but they are in tubs, and although we've had some rain recently, I don't think that the rainfall is getting into the tubs so well because it's hitting the foliage and running off. So I think it's very important to keep watering them and checking the dampness of the soil or the compost in the pots. But yeah, 2 acres is only a small little annual vegetable plot, jokingly called 2 acres, but it's situated in the middle of suburbia in probably just slightly larger than an average sized garden, because my house was built in the 1950s, and I think back then there was the mindset of people wanted a garden because people wanted to grow food. In this modern day and age, people don't grow food. It's not normal for people to grow food, which I think is a great shame. I'll tell you more about that in a minute, but first of all I'm going to get some water onto the potato plants. These are Charlotte, an early potato, but I'm not going to be harvesting any of these for several weeks. I'm going to wait for the haulms, the green growth, to die back before I start taking the potatoes. And I think we're going to do well. Looking at the size of the plants and the growth, I think we're going to do really well with them. Right, that one took a lot of water. I need one last can for that end one there. So just use this last little can. This little water butt just catches the runoff from one half of my workshop. It's only 100 litres, but you'll be surprised. We had a couple of rain showers. We haven't had a great deal of rain even now, but it was enough to more or less fill this 100 litre container. So I'm using the tap on this one, but on the other two water butts, which you saw probably earlier, I just prefer to dip the watering can in the top. It's quicker. Taps do slow down the process a little bit. Like that'll do. Let's get the last potato plant watered. Right, let's get this last spud watered. There's four potatoes in each container, so yeah, we should get a good crop out of these. Fingers crossed. Well, we're now onto the onion bed, and I've just got a little row of pak choi down there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to thin these out a little later on perhaps, and maybe transplant a few. I have heard that pak choi doesn't transplant too well. The onions are looking well. I have weeded them, but something else that I'm learning about is they reckon it's that roots in the ground do more than just compost alone. So something about the root microbiome, it creates a microbiome around it, and or fungal and all other sort of good things happen around roots. And some people say it's even good to let your weeds grow around them. So what I'm probably going to do with the onion bed is half the bed I'm going to hoe and keep clean. The other half I'm going to let the weeds grow up and just see if that does affect the size of the onion and the crop. So that's an interesting experiment. It goes without saying, the Swiss chard has just done amazingly well. We've already had several meals of the greens picked from the Swiss chard. You just pick it and it grows again. You can even eat it. Raw like that. I think I prefer it cooked though. But the amazing thing is that while I'm cooking a meal, I can come into the garden, harvest a few leaves, and it can be into the kitchen in the steamer, steam for 10 minutes and on the plate, and eaten as fresh as that. And I can't tell you how nice it tastes. It was amazing, honestly. When you go to buy your food off the supermarket, you don't know how it's been grown, you don't know how long it's been stored. It could be weeks old before you even go to buy it. So huge benefit from growing your own Swiss chard. And as I say, you pick it, it grows again. And we've got more leaves now. I only picked a load of leaves from this just a few days ago, and it's grown more than I've picked. So I don't know how long it's going to keep providing real good nutritious greens, but I think it's going to go on for quite some time yet. Got beetroot, they're beginning to show root now. A mixture of beetroot and more Swiss chard in there. Yeah, really am impressed with the Swiss chard. Definitely something I'm always going to be growing. Nothing wrong with that. Moving on to the broad beans. Well, they're now above my waist height. And what I have been doing with the broad beans, I've been picking out the growing tips. I've had a little bit of black fly. Nothing too bad, to be honest with you. They don't seem to have been hit too bad with the black fly. And I've been picking out the tips of the plant, and then that has also been used as a green. You can eat the tips and you get that lovely broad bean flavour. It's a real treat, it's a real fresh treat. And again, pick that in the steamer and then eaten all in the space of 20 minutes, half an hour. So this is really not only a place where I grow my food, it's also a place where I store my food. It's my larder. So I just come out here. There's a bean top there that I've missed. Pick it and oh, lovely. It's a real treat, I'll tell you. Especially if you like broad beans, which I do. There's still plenty of flour on these beans, but they are now set in pods, and I'll show you those. So hopefully zoom the camera in and you can see the little broad bean pods. They're at the bottom at the moment of the plant. These will be the more mature pods, and as the plant grows and produces more beans, you'll get newer beans at the top. But it won't be many weeks, possibly even days, before I start to pick some of these broad beans down here. I'm going to save some of them for seed for next year. I've got a couple of leeks growing as well. This was a leek bed last year and I missed these, and these grew over the winter. You can see they're setting seed, but apparently you can eat these still. So I'm going to be harvesting these, I think, in the next well, probably later today, and I might have them in a meal that I cook this evening. Yeah, they're a good plant. I love leek. Taste of leek is beautiful. So moving on, we'll have a look in the greenhouse. Yeah, it's lovely in here. Oh, really nice. It gets the sun mid to late morning and early afternoon, and then the real heat of the sun at that point has moved on around, and so the greenhouse is then in shade, and that seems to be perfect environment, perfect lighting solution and heating solution for my tomato plants. I haven't got a door on this greenhouse, unfortunately. It got, I don't know what happened, the glass got broke, and I've got the door but I've got no glass, so I'll refit that at some point, but it really doesn't need it. The plants have done well in here. So I'll bring you in for a closer look at the greenhouse on 2 acres. There we are. Hopefully you can see some of my tomato plants. what have we got here? This is Gardener's Delight. That one I think is a Sweet Million, and this one is Aroma Plum. And all I've been doing with these is just searching through them every now and again, picking out the side shoots. There's one there, there's one on there, that one there. So easy to miss side shoots, but it's not a problem, because if you miss them the first time, then when you come back in a few days they've grown bigger and you can see them. And then what I will do as time goes on, I'm probably going to remove some of the lower leaves which aren't really contributing much. Yeah, there's a side shoot there, and as they grow I've been tying them up as well, so you can see there I'll be putting another tie point on maybe in a few days. This one's got a couple of side shoots, so I'll have to pull them out. I'll bring you in to show you what they're like. So the anatomy of a tomato plant. So there's a side shoot there. It grows from like the pit where another branch is, so I can pull that off. If that's left to grow, that will go on to form another entire tomato plant. And we got one in there as well, so we'll pull that one out. And this is the growing point. This is a truss here, and then that'll turn to flowers, and then later on tomatoes. There's even more up there. There's a nice truss forming a bit lower down. Yeah, just adjusted the camera so you can see it. That's a lovely truss there, look. So you don't want to be pulling them off, because that's where your fruit's going to hang from in a few weeks' time. Another tomato that I got growing, this one's growing in a pot with a couple of tumbler tomatoes at the bottom. Never grew them before, so interesting to see how they'll turn out. And I know over to the right, yet more tomato plants. Money Maker, Gardener's Delight, and Tumbling Toms. Again, all setting trusses and just doing the usual management of pulling out the side shoots and making sure they're fed and watered. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the gardening, and I think I'm going to get a good year, a good crop this year. I almost forgot to mention I got some more pak choi that I've transplanted into pots to try and bring that on, and then I'll plant these out when they're a bit bigger. And here this is what they call a volunteer. It's a tomato plant that I found in the bed. It was growing from one of the rotten tomatoes from last year, and I thought, well, yeah, we'll give it a chance. So I potted it up, and I'll bring that on, and I'll probably plant that one outside. If you look around in the soil, there's several tomato seedlings popped up. So you know, tomatoes are so prolific, they just want to grow. There's one there. Yeah, I dig him out with his root system. There. That's a little tomato plant. If you leave that, that will grow into a big tomato. Anyway, it can grow for the time being. I might find a place for it later on. So I'm back over by my two water butts. These are each 210 litres, so there's 440 litres of water in there. And we've had a couple of sort of rainstorms, and this gathers water from approximately a third of the roof, the house roof and the extension, and that's all it's taken to completely fill that water butt and almost fill this one. You see, they're linked, so they're like in series. So when this one fills up, any overspill then comes into this one. And I might at some point in the future even add a third one, because I don't think you can get enough water. We've had a lot the population of this country has increased so much. I reckon like 10 million more people in the country now. The reservoirs haven't increased, so the infrastructure is lagging behind. And it won't take much if we had a very dry, hot and dry spring, and if it weren't for the recent rain, we would have been in real trouble. And I was thinking to myself, what if all the houses had some means of rainwater harvesting, and then okay, if that wasn't used for watering the garden, then surely they could use it for flushing the toilet, stuff like that. And then I was talking to my friend Colin about this, and he said, yeah, every new build should have the ability to rainwater harvest, store the water in a tank, then pump it up to a header tank in the loft, which could then be used for flushing a toilet, because that would completely remove the overburden on the treated water supply. But they'll come up with all sorts of excuses saying no, we can't do that because of the threat of Legionnaire's disease and what have you. I've got stored water here. I'm dipping my hands into it all the time. I've never had Legionnaire's disease in all the 63 years of my life that I've been messing around with doing bits of gardening and what have you. I think they just want you on the paid system where they can sell you the treated water. They want you buying the water, they want you paying for your waste. And I've got another gripe about your waste. I mean, that's this compost bin. We don't chuck nothing out, nothing. It all goes in there apart from cooked waste. And the only other thing is that human waste, bodily waste, is taken away. But even on a garden this size, and I'm not drawing water from the ground, but I could easily dig a composting toilet, have two pits side by side, being cycled in succession, so when one's full you move over to the next one, and then when that one's full you then go to the first one, dig that out. That's all good compost material, put it on the garden, and that builds up nutrition. And that would have been the way it would have been done years and years ago. I can remember my grandmother, and she died in 1974. She lived in a little 2-bed terrace cottage in Swivenham, and it had a large garden, and it had no sewage, no sewage pipes. All the garden, all the waste was either composted or it was buried in the ground. And the vegetables my nan used to grow were incredible. I can remember it now. I can remember that also the rich dark soil and how fertile it was. So this modern way of living that we've got nowadays, it might be very convenient, but I think we're stripping the land of the nutrition, of the value of all that. It's literally black gold.